Nakaba, really? There was no reason to shoot my theory in the face that hard. Before we have this review of chapter 32 of The Four Knights of the Apocalypse, please do me a favor and leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit the little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I'm Pencil, and here we are to review chapter 32 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, which is known as The Peaks of Fear. And honestly, this is like the most pure intermediate. Whoa. Why can I not English whenever I do these reviews? Intermediary chapter that I've ever witnessed, but let's hop right into it anyway. So we see the gang is climbing, and once again, I really do love these like opening panel shots that transition cleanly into the chapter itself. Like obviously some chapter pages or like chapter titles are just completely disconnected, but I really like when the title of the chapter deals directly or like links directly into the narrative itself. But we hop on in, we get to see the whole gang's climbing the mountain, and obviously everyone's a bit tired, except for two people in particular. We see Anne, we see Sylvain, we see Donnie, we see Nasi, and just all like, whew, golly gee willikers, a mountain supposed to be this big? I love how they all have this like just completely tired and drained reaction to doing there. And ironically enough, Donnie, despite being like super tired as well, he seems to be the one taking the lead purely. Like, he's still up top, he still has some energy behind him, but the person with the most energy obviously is that boy Percival, who is declaring himself the Holy Knight of Justice as he swings his dragon handle. And it's kind of cool to see how like a little bit of true holy knighthood has infected Percival to the degree that he's just acting out his own fantasies. And to be fair, this dude literally still is a kid. Like, he's a whole 16-year-old, probably with the mind of like a 10-year-old at best. So having this experience directly with the Holy Knight that inspired him and made him his own sword, I'm not shocked that Percival was so happy and invested in the new kind of profession that he now wants to have. I'm happy for him. And I love how Nasi is just out the cut, is like, after seeing Percival's enthusiasm, and Donnie's like, well, yeah, of course he's so enthused. My uncle's amazing, isn't he? And Nasi's is like, well, yeah, he's amazing. Donnie, I don't know about you, buddy. You're gonna have to reevaluate yourself. Poor Donnie. Like, he will consistently be attacked in this group, and while I do enjoy it, I do feel bad for the dude at times. But regardless of that, we do get to see that they cut to nighttime. We're in the nighttime world, and we get a pretty good question. Like, we've seen the mountain is like pretty hard to trek up because obviously it's a big old mountain. Like, it's going to be a little bit difficult to cross, but Anne asked a very good question of like, why is this a dark range with no chance of crossing it? And like, everyone else wants to know the answer to that too. And the thing is, Singh goes on to explain that these are the peaks of fear, where you can find all types of, well, fears. Like, you can run into multiple different things. Like, these peaks apparently are like flowing with magic to the point where you can have spiritual powers that conjure up different events and stuff like that. Like, he mentioned specifically his future self or like a future lover or like a partner in life, and I'm sitting there like, is that what that means later in the chapter, Sin? Is that what you're talking about? But regardless of that, we get to see that he doesn't only mean that. He also means the idea of like man-eating ogres and dimensional caves you'll never escape once you go inside. And those two one of those reminds me of something, especially after watching Cursed by Light. The thing that the dimensional cave reminds me of is the demon world. Like, apparently the demon world portal was literally just in a cave, and you can just hop right down in there. So maybe that's the cave to the demon world. And I could definitely see how if someone falls in there, you probably aren't coming back, at least not that easily. Like, because you need to be able to climb up all those stalactites. I'm not even sure. We don't even get to see, because apparently like gravity shifts and stuff once you enter there too. It's a very weird situation, but I assume that's what the dimensional cave is. And we obviously see the village of man-eating ogres at the end of the chapter. This is a very interesting thing. The only one of these examples that we don't have like either a pre-established or by the end of this chapter established version for is a future version of yourself. We see Anne wants to see her holy knight self, which is cool. But outside of that, it's like everything else gets answered. Everything else gets a presented answer too. And that's actually kind of interesting, because I wonder, how did people find this out, and how do people live to tell the tale? Like, I sort of get the idea of like the mirages. Like, those make sense. You see a future loved one, or you see a future version of yourself, and you just leave. Like, that can happen. But in terms of like the man-eating ogre village, how do you know about that? And the dimensional cave, if no one can escape once you go inside, who escaped to tell the tale. Like, I'm just intrigued to know. But obviously, Sin just says they're rumors. He tells everyone to go to sleep after that. And now we get to see that everyone is like, they're a little bit on edge because now they're worrying about a man-eating ogre village just popping out their flank and just going, scrumptious. Like, they're afraid of that. And the thing is, to counteract that, Percival just instantly kills all, like, fear vibes by saying, hey, why don't we just name my sword and give me some special moves? Like, everyone looks at him funny. Like, this manga, honestly, I know Seven Deadly Sins was supposed to be a comedy, but in terms of just, like, sheer, I'm not even sure what you would call this, slapstick situational, like, in terms of just raw comedy, I love this series in terms of just pure comedy, way more than Seven Deadly Sins, because the various reactions we get from the rest of the crew when Percival wants to just name his weapon and attacks, like, and just giving this look of, ew. Nazianz has that smile, that awkward smile when you don't want to put your friend down, but you're like, sorry, buddy, this is not the time. And Donnie's just laid back, like, you know what, let's not do this right now. And now everyone goes to sleep. But the thing is, we get to see later on in the night, like a thief in the night, call it, I can't say that because that's got a high school spoilers. But regardless of that, we get to see that Sin wakes up and he apparently hears someone calling his name, which is interesting because I wonder if they're calling him by Sin or his real name, because we get to see that Sin travels out into the night, goes on a walk, and he finds someone. And this person, through silent speech bubbles, well, no, not even silent speech bubbles, just pure silence through lip motions alone, they know Sin's name. And the thing is, this doesn't seem like Sin as in knowing who Sin is, the individual, but knowing, like, Sin's real name. Sin has a very violent reaction to the mentioning of his name. And while I know names are pretty important, I feel like he wouldn't have that kind of reaction unless it was his secret identity being revealed or something like that. Like, this doesn't seem like a reaction he would have had. And especially considering what we see of this woman seems to be dressed up in a marriage outfit. We get to see that possibly one of Sin's rumors, the whole idea of meeting your future bride, is established. And if I'm being real, rubbing my hands together, plotting and stuff like that, I feel like Sin may not be Bond, but a lot of people have been saying it already. Sin might be Lancelot. And the reason I say that is because I'm assuming this bride is the same bride that Arthur mentioned however many chapters. I think, like, at this point, I think it's like 10 chapters ago by this point, where Arthur mentioned the fact that he wants Ironside to go find him a bride of chaos or something like that. And this woman just happening to be dressed up fully in a bride outfit and also happening to be with Sin, someone who has relations to Bond, and Bond, or, well, no, in the concept, like a fox that's called Sin, referring to something like the fox's sin of greed, and obviously Bond had a kid who's named Lancelot, and we know, like, it wouldn't make sense for Bond to meet his future lover here, because he already has Elaine. Elaine is something that's already been established, and he gave up his best perk, period, to revive Elaine. So I doubt this woman would be Elaine, but considering the other popular theory of who Sin could be if he's not just some random purgatory beast, would be Lancelot. And Lancelot seeing Guinevere here, the future bride of Arthur, who Arthur is currently looking for right now, but in Arthurian mythology, thanks to y'all informing me, is also like the future lover of Lancelot. And the thing is, what the thing that gets me the most is that Sin specifically says lover. He doesn't necessarily say bride. Like, let me see. Like, seeing your future self, for example, meeting a lover you'll I'm sorry, meeting your future self, or meeting a lover, why can I not English? Lover you'll have later in life. So he specifically says lover, and in the context of Arthurian mythology, Guinevere is the lover of Lancelot. They don't actually get married, which is kind of the only confusing thing about her being in a bride outfit. But once again, this could be the bride outfit, which refers to her marriage to Arthur, and how Sin's going to, like, well, Lancelot's Sin, whatever, is going to intrude on that. And ironically enough, like, looking at this woman, who I'm assuming is Guinevere, like, who knows? This may be just a completely different character. This may just be another version of the Lady of the Lake or something like that. Like, this could be just a completely unrelated individual. But due to what Sin just said earlier in the chapter, due to what I know about Arthurian mythology now, thanks to you all, and thanks to the possibility, like, the two major the two major theories of Sin so far being he's either Bond or Lancelot, I feel like everything lines up for this to be Guinevere, And this also lines up for Sin to be Lancelot. And that both raises questions and also it intrigues me if it is Lancelot. Because the reason I was going with Bond is specifically because a lot of the context of Sin secretly being super duper strong, like a 7 deadly sins level threat, as Ironside and his pal said in that chapter when they had to forcefully retreat. But does that mean like Lancelot is already 7 deadly sins level? If so, like, I know 7 deadly sins level is a very broad category because simultaneously both Gother and full power Prime Meliodas are, I don't mean Prime Meliodas, I mean True Magic Meliodas are both 7 deadly sins level to a degree. But even still, to be that level of power this early in the narrative, I mean, it's kind of shocking. Then it just makes me wonder, like, what happened to Lancelot that he's like this, if this is Lancelot. Like, for Bond, I could see him getting cursed because I could see Arthur going out and being like, hey, buddy, you're a human, but you won't align with me, so you're a threat here. Become a fox, because you were the fox and agreed. Ha ha ha. I'm very ironic, aren't I? I could see that happening. But I guess this could be like a result of Lancelot sort of just his training from the Lady of the Lake. Like, he's currently trying to recruit the other 4 knights, and thusly he took on a fox-like form to not draw attention to himself. But then he's on a secret mission from the King of Leonis. But once again, we don't know what's true and what's lies with Sin, because I still don't trust Sin fully. So, Sin, you're a weird character right now. I'm flipping between Bond and Lancelot, but this chapter is making me heavily lean towards Lancelot, unless Bond's going to be a cheater. But I feel like Bond, if he turned down Jericho, there's no way he's going to cheat on a lay-in for Guinevere. Like, I just refuse to believe that. I hope he doesn't. But regardless of that, we get to see that Sin was the only one who saw her. Like, at all. Like, no other person witnessed her. We don't get Sylvain's response. Sylvain is, like, too busy being tired and stuff like that. But still, I bet Sylvain didn't even see it. However, we do get to hear a little bit of the other's dreams. And, like, Nakuba's just, like, confirming Pan Endgame right here, right now. Like, there's no way he already had them kiss. I know, it was CPR, blah, blah, blah. But he already had them kiss. And now Percival was supposedly playing Guran with Anne in his dream. Is that what you call it now, Nakaba Guran? Shirtless or clothesless wrestling? Huh? I see what you did there, Nakaba. You ain't slick. You've been waiting to build up that joke. However, we get to see that Sin does realize that it's a bride, but he doesn't necessarily he doesn't have any more context other than that. And I'm assuming it's because the only person who would even be thinking about a bride in this moment would be Arthur, considering that's what he personally requested. And every other character we know from the previous series is hitched, except for like Hauser himself, but that doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. But then we get to see that there's some dude just watching them climb up the mountain. And I'm not going to lie, I can't even say that this is my own original idea. It's just, I saw this on Reddit. I'm not going to lie, I saw this on Reddit. People are speculating that this dude is Pelgard. And when I tell you, I would be so unbelievably happy if we got a cameo, a whiff, a big pop of Pelgard, bro. Nah, he's still the best character. Like, Nasians, I love you, dog. Like, you were an amazing character. You have all the drip on the planet, but there's no one better than Pelgard in this moment right now. So if this is Pelgard, it's interesting because the thing is, this dude doesn't say anything to them. He sees them walking in the general direction of that town, which is interesting because in this big, tall shot, you can see the town in the distance, but he doesn't say anything to them. He and his dog are just watching. So, I don't know. That's a little bit shady. Then we get to see that both Donnie and I love how Donnie and Percival, despite being like 2 completely different levels of maturity, still have their own like shared levels of immaturity, because Donnie and Percival are racing up the hill. But then they get to see that when Sin called this the Dalfair mountain range, he was not kidding. This is an entire mountain range, just multiple sprawling hills and valleys and caverns. We get to see that. And then Sin explains like, yo, I hate to tell y'all, I really do, but it's going to take us 4 days to reach Leonis. And the thing is, he doesn't even say Leonis. He says the Leonis side. So I can definitely see us getting another mini arc right here in this monster town, and then getting another mini arc once we finally get to the other side of the Dalfor Mountain Range. If we don't have multiple miniature arc, like we don't run into the Dimensional Cave, which is supposedly up here, I'm going to be shocked if we have like 2 or 3 more arcs or miniature arcs before we reach Leonis itself. But at least that's just what I'm thinking. And we also get to see that Sin does notice the bird. I didn't mention the bird last chapter review because I already read chapter 33. Like, I know the bird is just the old man's thing, so I'm not going to question it. But it's interesting to see how Sin notes it when no one else can. But to be fair, no one really looks up, ever. Like, no one looks up. You always look behind, you always look to your side, but you never look up. But then we get to see that the gang, not the gang, Percival and Donnie, they're such expressive characters. Like, I love how hard Nakaba went into the whole idea of these two just being total idiots that just happen to be best friends, because they both instantly just scream, "I've got to pee." No, Percival yells, "I've got to take a whiz," and Donnie's like, "Me too." And Nasians is too embarrassed to join them. And we know Nasians. We know why. We know what you're trying to get down to a Percival. But you got competition, and right then and there, I'm going to have to see y'all fist fight over him. But regardless of that, we also get to see that they run into a village. And I just have to say, Donnie and Percival, after this whole situation where the last town you just went to was an entire rigged trap that y'all fell for, not 2 days ago at this point. I feel like it's not even been like a whole day since they left camp. So for them to be this stupid and just run straight into a town of smiling and waving onlookers after they just heard Sin tell them about a village of man-eating monsters, like, what was the thought process? Oh wait, there wasn't one. Like, I know for a fact neither of them thought. They just went straight to town. Idiots. Just certified, licensed, bona fide idiots. I cannot believe these two are that dumb. But then we get to see this dude from earlier who was once watching away from a distance, and he suddenly comes up and tells them, whoa, you can't go over there. That village is dangerous. And we get to see, while Nasians and Ann go to turn, Sin has this sharp head turn because he sees the two idiots just running straight towards the village. And Percival just wants to go because it's going to be fun because he's stupid. And Donnie goes because he wants to get drunk because he's stupid. And Sin runs in because he's stupid. Like, I'm not going to lie. I guess it makes sense for Sin to charge in because Percival is his main mission right now. But Donnie, you're better than this. Percival, I feel like at this point, you should be better than this. Like, this felt contrived. I'm not going to lie. Like, this bit right here felt a tad bit too contrived for me to be like, sure. Especially since he just said it. It's not like they had gotten decently into their 4-day trip to the point where they would have forgotten it. It's not like multiple nights have passed. No, this is the very next morning after Sin just warned them about man-eating villages. Like, it's just idiots. So I'll admit, them driving the plot forward like that is not something I enjoy. But then we end with the big twist. This random hunter dude comes up and he's like, "That's no village at all. It's a den of monsters." And I'll be real, once again, on my pure, I can see your future with my Sharingan. Having read chapter 33, I didn't even notice this big, super tall dude in the back when I first finished reading chapter 32. Like, the whole week went by and I didn't even notice this Demon King lookalike. But we'll get into him more next review. Regardless of this chapter, once again, it was very intermediary. Like, there was the whole big Guinevere thing. I'm going to keep calling her Guinevere too. Until I get confirmation that wasn't Guinevere, she's going to be Guinevere until further notice. You know how in court you're innocent until proven guilty? You're Guinevere until proven not Guinevere. But yeah, this chapter, I mean, I like aspects of it, but it's nowhere near as good as like the past couple chapters. So this definitely it gets a 7. It gets a 7. I still do like the art. I still do like parts of it, and especially I love the character dynamics, the character interactions, and seeing how these idiots just live together and move on and live life. But there's nothing like truly impactful in this chapter other than more theory crafting and Nakaba punching my Bond theory in the face with no remorse. And yeah, I don't know. There's not enough meat on this bone for me to be like, yeah, this is a solid 10 out of 10. I don't like how contrived this ending feels to lead right into a den of monsters. I don't think that's the main thing. I don't like that. And there's nothing exceptional about this chapter. This definitely feels like oh no, I need to write a transitionary chapter and I need to cool down from the last week's chapter. So thusly, I will write this. That's what chapter 32 feels like to me. But that's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.